Hey guys, MWUSA, Season 3, Episode 40. It is Sunday afternoon. I just pulled up to my first stop here. A little bit late in the day to get started, but we're going to take a shot at it here and see what happens. I had a temporary crown that fell out of my mouth, off my tooth, so I may have to take part of the day tomorrow to go to the dentist. But other than that, we'll see what happens from there. Right now, I'm going to hop in here, take a look around, and I'll be back to update you and do more of an introduction. I'll be back. Alright guys, I'm back. So sorry about no intro there, but so yeah, this weekend's been pretty busy. I've been taking care of stuff at the house and everything, so I haven't really had much of a chance to get out on time, so I'm leaving a little bit late on Sunday night, and the plan is to hit 5 or 6 casinos depending on the time, and then I am meeting someone at my house tomorrow morning early, and we're supposed to be going to another city where we're going to hit 5 or 6 more casinos. So expect to get back early in the morning and then meet with him and then go right away, most likely. So maybe an hour or 2 of sleep, and then keep moving. Now tomorrow is supposed to be a day. I'm supposed to be at the office. I'm supposed to meet with my director and stuff, but since my temporary crown fell out, I'm going to use that as an excuse and say during that time I'm going to be at the dentist. And I'm just not going to fix my temporary crown because my real crown is coming in a week anyway, so I'll make it. So no problem there. So right now I went into the first spot, found a couple small plays, nothing really good at all. Saw a friend there, talked for a while. He was playing a longer term machine, and he finished that up, and we decided to leave. So leaving that session plus 91, and I gotta get some gas right now, and then I'll get gas before I get home, most likely again, but on my way to the second spot right now. I'll be back. Alright guys, I am back. So we moved on to the next place, and along the way we just had a nice chat, talked about Vegas and places my friend has lived and stuff, and some of the fun stuff that he did. And we got here about 50 minutes ago, and went in, immediately saw a machine that was just better than borderline. It was just barely okay, and played that machine and lost about $215 on it, $215. Moved on to another machine and lost another $85. So, and at my low point, I was actually down about $610. And it was crowded. There's a lot of people checking machines, a lot of Asian people checking machines, a lot of white guys, young white guys checking machines, and so it was very busy and hard to compete with people. But I was able to find some decent plays and battle my way back. And actually at the end there, we were watching one guy play. We weren't sure if he knew what he was doing or not, but when we saw he was playing 75 cents a spin and he had about $700 in the machine, we knew he knew what he was doing. So and just the way you can tell by the way people spin if they know what they're doing usually. Anyway, moving on to the next spot, I ended that session ahead $162. Right now it's about 36 degrees outside. It's pretty clear, roads are dry and stuff, so not too worried about ice or anything. But we're going to move on to another place. I'm going to be playing some blackjack, a little bit of slots depending on what's available. And I'm hoping to make between 700 and 1,000 on the blackjack, and then we'll move on from there. So we'll see. Again, remember tomorrow morning early, I have to be home. I've got someone meeting me, and we have a long trip. So from the furthest we're going to go today to the furthest I'm going to go tomorrow is about 8 hours from end to end. From maybe a little less, but 7 hours. But from my furthest point here to go home and my furthest point tomorrow will be about that long. So anyway, we're moving on about half an hour away from the next spot, and then I'll be back to update you. Alright guys, I am adding this later on because my friend is not in the car, but just thinking back about the stories that he was telling me. He told me that he lived in Vegas for about 6 years, And during that time, he was a taxi driver and did some other things, and was just telling me about the crazy things that him and his friends did. He was telling me about how, as a taxi driver, a lot of the prostitutes would make friends with the taxi drivers and would trust them and stuff, and have them take them from place to place and pick them up when they have tons of money. And he was telling me a story about a friend of his that stopped right on the Strip. I guess he's from San Francisco, and he stopped his car right on the Strip to pick up a hooker, a prostitute, and started talking to her. She got in the car, they made a deal, and then police lights behind him, and she was a police officer. And so he got arrested and all the stuff that happened to that guy. And he was telling me a story about how he owed someone $25,000 for some gambling, and someone owed him $14,000. So he said he got the $14,000 from this person who happened to be a relative, and he started driving to California to pay this person off the $25,000 that he owed him. And along the way, he stopped at a casino in California. He had stopped at a bank and gotten $5,000, so it was up to $19,000, and he needed $6,000 more to finish paying his friend. And he was playing all different games, and he got within $600 of his goal to be able to pay his friend off. So he puts out a blackjack hand of $600. So his friend is sitting, a friend of his is sitting to his left, and this guy gets a 20 on his $600 bet. The dealer has a 6, and his friend has a 13. And his friend said, I have a feeling that the next card is going to be a small card. And everyone's at the table saying, no, don't do it, don't do it. And he said, no, I think I'm going to do it. So the guy that had the $600 bet stood up for a second to grab a tissue from the pit boss. And while he did that, his friend hit and got a 10. No, he got a 6. And he said, see, I knew it was going to be a little card. Well, the dealer had a 6 showing, a 5 underneath, and got a 10. And my friend lost $600. So now he's $1,200 away. So he gets upset with his friend, and he leaves him and goes to a table by himself. And so he decides he's going to put out a $2,000 hand. He's going to win the one hand, and he's going to leave. Well, he told me this big theatrical story about what happened, where he split it to 4 and doubled 2 of them or so. So he had, that would be what, 6, 12,000. Yeah, I think he said 16,000, so he must have doubled all of them. And he ended up winning all of them. So now he doubled his money. He's way above where he needed to be. And his friend came around and said, see, I brought you good luck. And this guy says, get out of here, and starts yelling at his friend to get away from him and stuff. In the meantime, he had pulled his money toward him, all the chips toward him, but he had left his bet out of $2,000. So allegedly, the same thing happened again, and this time he lost $16,000. And long story short, he ended up losing all the money and not paying his friend at that point. And he ended up paying him years later instead, all because of this one person hitting a hand instead of staying on a hand. So he told me some very colorful stories and some crazy stories. I'm sure some of them are true and a lot of them are exaggerated. He was telling me a story about how he had $100,000 bet across different casinos on the Patriots to win the Super Bowl when they lost the Super Bowl. And he had all kinds of different bets and prop bets and crazy, point spread, outright. He had it all. And allegedly he would have won over $1 million, but instead he lost $100,000, which was all the money that he had. And it was years before he got back on his feet. But from what I understand, he is not back on his feet because he has all these girlfriends that give him money, and that's the reason he's able to gamble. So I don't know what is true and what is not true, but that's the story that he told me. So, all right, back to the episode. All right, guys, I am back. So I went into the next place, and it was very busy, it being a weekend night, and this is the only good casino in the area where you can play blackjack and table games and things. So I walk in, go to the blackjack area, and there's a shoe that's about to start. And I ask, hey, have you started? Because there's one card. I didn't know if they'd already played a hand. I saw something in the discard tray. No, we haven't started yet. So I buy in for 500, spreading 50 to 500, and really had all low counts all the way through. The highest running count I had was like a 7, which would have been like a true 1.1 or so. Maybe I had a 2, but I basically spread 50 to 150 is really about as far as I got. So the first shoe was me and these two guys. Let's just say ethnic. I don't want to say the ethnicity because it matters later. And then they're playing. They have no clue how to play. They're playing all the side bets, all the worst side bets that pay ridiculous and never hit, and ridiculously bad. I mean, ridiculously low and never hit. And they just lost everything on there. One guy lost within 5 or 6 hands, and the other guy had more money and lost most of his money before he left. Then another guy comes and is watching, and he's speaking in their language, which I can understand. And he looks over at me and he said, he probably understands what we're saying. And I look at him and I wink at him. And he said, oh, so you do understand. And so he sat down after those guys left and talked to me for a minute. But I really didn't want to act like I knew him because I had a feeling like he was going to ask me for money. So he leaves. He's asking me about, what kind of work do you do? And I said, IT security. And he's like, well, I got this problem with my laptop. I'm trying to burn music and I don't know, what I'm doing. Can you help me? And I'm like, just go to a computer store and ask them for help. What software you need. I can't help you. I haven't worked on computers in years. I built thousands of systems, but I haven't done it in years. So anyway, I'm playing neutral counts, very boring, very noisy. The high limit area was incredibly packed. All the baccarat tables were 3 people deep, and money on top of money, and noise and smoke and everything. So maybe not smoke, but anyway. So I ended up buying in for a total of $1,000. At my low point, I was down probably 600 or so, and at my high, I was ahead like between 650 and 750, and the count went negative, and I was getting ready to leave, and I had a hand with a split and a double, and it ended up being like a neutral count, so I stayed after I lost that hand, and finally I ended up leaving at the end of one shoe. I got lucky actually. The last couple hands I left ahead, exactly 500, but was not good. I had a weird hand where I had a 16, queen 6, and the dealer had an ace, and I waved off the insurance. She was asking about insurance. I said, go ahead, meaning go ahead and check it. She flipped it over, and there's a 5 underneath. So now she's got an ace 5, and I've got a queen 6. And I call the pit boss over. I'm like, what do you want me to do here? And I'm hoping he's going to say, if you want to cancel the hand, we'll cancel the hand. He doesn't do that. He goes, well, now that you see, excuse me, what you have and what she has, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I was going to hit, but now knowing what she has, I'm going to stay. So they say, okay, and I'm not happy about this because I think they should cancel the hand. And she flips over a 3 and beats me, and the next 2 cards would have busted her. It was a 10 and an 8. She would have had ace 5, and then a 10, and then an 8. So she would have busted. Anyway, so I ended up making a little bit of money there. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay any longer. It started getting busy and packed anyway, so it wasn't a very comfortable situation. Another guy came to the table, and at the end of that shoe, other people were waiting to sit down. So I ended up leaving, and I was frustrated from that hand too. But Anyway, I looked at some slots and played just a couple of them, lost about 10 or 15 on one, made a little bit on another one, and ended up leaving ahead $5 on the slots. So nothing to write home about, but plus $5 on the slots, plus 500 on a very boring blackjack session. And I'm moving on to another place. This place is going to be way more boring. This is going to be a lot of older people and a lot smaller casino. There are opportunities. There are 3 or 4 machines that provide big opportunities here. So I'm hoping one of them will be in position, and we'll see what happens, and then I'll be back to update you. Alright guys, I am back. So as expected, there wasn't much going on in there. Compared to the last place, this place was like a morgue. There was hardly anybody in there, not a lot of opportunity. Hung out there for a little while looking for things and really didn't find anything that I liked or wanted to play. Overall, just played 1 or 2 things and ended the session ahead $34. So not really much going on there. That's what I kind of expected. And at this point, we're gonna move on to another spot. I expect a lot more out of it, probably at least a couple hundred. Luckily, this one wasn't really out of my way very much, so just a few minutes out of the way, so didn't really cost me any time, and at least looked around and just nothing happened to be available. So anyway, I'm going to let you go. Moving on to the next place. It's about 45 minutes away, and I'll be back to update you. Alright guys, I am back. So moved on to the next casino, and it's getting late, really late, and just finished up in there, and I figure if I go straight home, I'm gonna get home about 4 a.m. Gonna have maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours of sleep, and then I gotta leave the house, not just wake up, but leave the house. So it's gonna be a tight one. So right now, like I said, I just finished up in there. When I first walked in, I've been in there for like an hour, so I can't remember a lot of the stuff that happened, but I just went through my normal stuff, and I really, the first machine was an iffy one. It was a high denomination, and the machine was barely in the money, and I played that one through. I believe I ended up slightly ahead on that one, and then I had 4 or 5 decent payouts in a row. Not big money, but just like 50, 20, 40, and just kept on stacking those up. And then played one game with someone else. We split it, and we ended up losing money on that one. And then played another game like that again, and made money on the next one. And just a lot of mostly up, but a lot of back and forth, and ended the session ahead $364. So now, like I said, here's the problem. It's going to be so late when I get home. Number one priority is to get home safe, and then I'm going to have to get gas first thing in the morning, and I'm meeting my friend who's actually coming to my house, and we're going to leave from my house first thing in the morning. So I will text him before I go to sleep, asking him for an ETA, and then I'll know when I need to be ready. So I'll just have him come in, get a cup of coffee or something, and then we'll take off in the morning. So yeah, that's what's going on right now. Pretty deserted in that place, but it's a big place, so it took a while to get through everything. So letting you go for now. I'll be back. Alright guys, just finished up at the next casino. Just needed to drop off my friend, and just decided to walk in and take a look around, and of course that ended up being a mistake. So went into the casino, found a couple small plays, and right away, actually I found one big play, and right away started losing money, and then treaded water for a long time, and had some ups and downs. And then I had a situation where in one of the back areas, I was playing on a machine and the buttons stopped working. So I go to push the service button, and the service button doesn't work, and the button doesn't work. So I pushed the service button of a couple machines behind me, because all the ones around me for some reason weren't working properly either. So I pushed the other service buttons, waiting around, nobody's coming. Decide to go ask somebody, they don't come back. Decide to go ask security, and they send someone to me to ask me the machine number, like I have it memorized. So we had to find the machine number, then go back to security. Then they called someone, then he came. He didn't know how to fix it, and 3 other people came. And finally, we were able to get it cleared up. And luckily, I didn't have too many more spins before the payout. But that was a very annoying experience. And I find that this casino, for some reason, doesn't have it together as far as this type of thing. So, yeah, I mean, at least I got out of there any later, and I mean, I wouldn't have even been able to get home in time to meet my friends. So, I ended the session down $191, and moving on from here. All right, guys, dropped off my friend, and I am heading home. And I gotta say, probably could have done without tonight. Made a little bit of money, but overall was not a great night, and now I'm going to be exhausted. I have 4 meetings today, and we're going to be traveling, and tomorrow's going to be a very busy day, and Wednesday is going to be an incredibly busy day, as well as I have a meeting Wednesday night. So it's going to be a rough week, I have to say. Hopefully I have a good day today. It's Monday morning as I'm getting home right now, and yeah, I guess we'll just take it one step at a time, and we'll see how it goes. Right now is after 5 a.m. and I'm about 20 minutes away from home. It'll be about 5:45 by the time I get home, and just gonna get changed and take a shower, and my friend should be at the house by then, and then we're gonna take off. So that's it for now. I'll be back shortly with another episode. If you have any questions or comments, the email is mwusa21@gmail.com, mwusa21@gmail.com. See you next time.